My name is Grisha Stewart, and I have developed b.a.t, and we'll be talking today, doing a little demonstration with Sandy, who is a about 6-year-old Sheltie Dachshund mix. And she is afraid of the vacuum cleaner, and the behavior that you can actually see is that she's attacking it, but she's also got a lot of stress signs. She's licking her lips, she's yawning, there's a couple times where she shakes off. She looks like, maybe if you weren't a dog behaviorist, you might think that she's having a good time and she's playing with the vacuum cleaner because her tail is wagging. The thing about a wagging tail is that it's really just adrenaline. So I sort of think of it as she's lost control of her tail. And so just because it's wagging doesn't mean that she's feeling like she's having a good time. And you can see some panting, there's pacing back and forth. So basically then what we're going to be doing, or what we are doing, is allowing her to experience the vacuum cleaner from more of a distance, so not just up close, and also switched off at first, so that she's learning around that vacuum cleaner that she can move around and make herself feel more safe. A lot of dogs have issues with vacuum cleaners because they make a loud, scary noise. They're kind of a growly noise. They also are just this weird tool that dogs might not be used to, and also they make us move back and forth in a way that dogs are not used to. And so each of those pieces, it's helpful to get the dog used to those. And if you have a puppy, then you can kind of start from scratch. Sandy is older, but she's not had a vacuum cleaner in her house before. She's lived in a house with just, that didn't need vacuum cleaning and no carpets. And so this is her first experience. And now that she has seen this scary monster in her house, it's sort of just getting worse and worse because she's learning that it doesn't seem to be going away and she's not feeling safe around it. If you search on YouTube, you can find a bazillion dog videos of dogs attacking vacuum cleaners, and usually they say their dog is playing with the vacuum cleaner, and so people either just think it's funny and continue vacuuming around the dog anyway, or they might actually even chase the dog with the vacuum cleaner, which I think is terrible. You can do other things which would be more useful, like giving them a stuffed Kong and putting them in another room. Sometimes just putting them in another room but not giving some sort of entertainment can make the problem worse because, I don't know, for all I know, the dog thinks that you're being attacked by the vacuum cleaner in there, and then they get frustration on top of the fear that they're feeling. One other way that people sort of use to treat issues like this would be, it's called flooding. So basically just putting the dog into a place that's scary and waiting until they give up. This would be equivalent to, if you were afraid of spiders, that someone locked you in a room full of spiders and kept you in there until you went crazy. So this place where the dog stops fighting and stops acting aggressive is actually called learned helplessness. And that's a state where there was so much stress in the dog's body that they just basically can't react anymore. That's one way of thinking of it. It's a little, not 100% accurate, but it's so stressful that a lot of times it can actually make the problem worse when it resurfaces. There's a suppressive effect temporarily when they just can't respond anymore, but it's not a permanent solution. A better alternative to just flooding the dog with exposure to the vacuum cleaner is to use it or do a setup where you're at more of a distance and the vacuum cleaner is switched off. So the dog is just getting used to the sight of that, and you can do this on leash or off lead. Usually I do it on a leash because otherwise the dog will take themselves too close to the trigger, in this case the vacuum cleaner, and then start to be too stressed. And so you're practicing from a distance, doing approaching and retreating. And the retreating is when the dog is basically said, using body language, that they've had enough, that they've checked out the thing and they've gotten some information. And so what that looks like is the dog is looking at it, and then they usually turn their head away or sniff the ground or do some signal at that point. So when there's a change from focus on the trigger to redirecting somewhere else, then you mark that with yes and walk the dog usually about 10 to 15 feet away and tell them they're so brave, and give them a little bit of time, and then try approaching again if they're ready. And so you would actually go through several repetitions of this at some distance and then gradually get closer. And then you would do it with the vacuum cleaner switched on, but from further away again, gradually work your way closer again, and then add in something like motion, so that have another person vacuuming from a distance, and you gradually approach from there. Today what we'll be doing is a beginning session with Sandy. It takes time to change the brain chemistry, and so basically we'll be doing as much as we can within this session of getting her closer and closer, and then her owners will take it from there. One of the really, really important things is that the dog is calm and comfortable during this whole procedure. And the reason for that is that there's always an emotional lesson. So we're focusing on behavior and getting her used to moving away if she's feeling uncomfortable at all. But the goal is that she learns that this is not a scary thing. And so if you start to get a dog who is shivering or pacing or panting or just generally looks stressed, then either completely stop the session or move further away so that you're doing this from a distance where the dog can be comfortable. And you can also do like a break where you do some regular, tricks for treats or that sort of thing, just to change the focus a little bit. And then when you start over again, doing it from more of a distance. Her owners have worked on getting her used to being around a vacuum cleaner that's off, so she can actually, right now she's laying down near the vacuum cleaner, not right next to it, but close. And so as just a piece of equipment, it's fine, and so we'll be working with it switched on. So what we're going to do is have the vacuum cleaner turned on, and then we'll be doing approaching and retreating from there as she wants. So we're outside because that's a little bit easier for her. So give her a little bit more distance in case being inside is too much. And there we go. Come here, come here. She said, what is that? So I'm going to let her decide what to do here. Good girl. Yes, good girl. Excellent. And shall we try again? That was a good girl. Yes, good girl. So we just do multiple approaches and retreats. So I'm stopping her, just not going so close that she throws herself over threshold. Good. Yes, good girl. Let's go back out. Yay! Can you check it out again? So she's working her way, yes, working her way closer. And I'm just following her lead since she's not barking. So some of the times with b.a.t we're stopping the dog so they can't get too close and throw themselves over threshold, but I'm allowing her to investigate if she wants to. Yes, that was a good choice. So how far away I go depends on what the dog needs at the time. Usually that's only about 10 or 15 feet, but in this case, she seems to enjoy going a little bit further away, and so I'm allowing her to go that distance. And then usually you stay away for about 15 or 20 seconds. Yes? Good job. And you can approach directly or you can approach from angles. This is not her house, so this is actually a really fascinating place for her to go sniff. Otherwise, I think she'd be more interested in coming back in sooner. Should we try again? Good girl, good girl. Yes. Yes, good job. So brave. All right, so I'm gonna give her a good break there because she made a big choice of turning away even though she was pretty close to the Hoover. All right. She's already ready to leave, so I'll reinforce that. A lot of dogs will do head turns away, and that's one of the big things that we're looking for, is just looking at the trigger and then disengaging, but it could be sniffing the ground, it could be shaking off as if they were wet. And there are a lot of different behaviors that they do. Sandy, are you ready? Come here. Okay. So at this point, she's choosing to not go as close to the vacuum cleaner as she went before, which is fine. And so she's learning actually that she can control her space and not go charging in, which I think is really powerful for her, because she had been going in and just attacking things that make her scared. Sandy. Actually, I think we're going to stop because she's good for today. So we're going to stop here for today because I think that's a good spot where she's learning that she can control the distance, and also I don't want that to be stressful for her more than it has to be. And the good thing about having a vacuum cleaner issue is that you can do training for just a couple of minutes a day and then gradually get the dog used to that. So I would say from here the owners would do maybe 5 or 10 minutes of training per day for, I would say within a week or two, then she should be fine. So gradually building up from the vacuum cleaner on in different locations, and then starting to do vacuum cleaner off but moving, and then vacuum cleaner on and moving, and get used to all of those things, and then she should be good. So a couple weeks, maybe a month, depending on how much the moving triggers her. We could do nothing about the vacuum cleaner issue. We could just shut her in another room and make it so that we can clean without having a dog attacking the vacuum cleaner. But it's better for her overall health. It's better for her stress. It's also easier for the owners so that they don't have to put the dog away. And there's also something called trigger stacking, where different stressors will pile up on top of each other. And so the more stressors in their life that you can get rid of, the less chance you have of any other kind of issues and aggression. Good girl. Yes, good girl. Good girl. Yes, good girl. Yes, good girl.